This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. You awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? My name is Frank Castle. You're a sorcerer supreme every Saturday nights right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. And I'm sitting here with my awesome etherical translator, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome to Fearless, everyone. Before we start the show, special shout-outs to Chris and Cherie. We love you guys so much. Without you, we wouldn't be here doing this, not like this at all. And shout-outs to my man, Ra. Great show. And the best Saturday night in radio.
Yep.
I'm convinced there's so many other great shows. Stick around for all of them. If you like any of the music you hear tonight, HEIST, CLICK, Heist, Click, Heist, Click, Heist, Click. All right, sorry. And don't forget to check out We Are Fearless.com. We have so much great art on all different styles of clothes. Check it out. 50% of what you spend on the awesome products goes directly to the artist. Why? Because that's how we roll. We love every one of you. Shout outs to the chat room. What is up, Fearless family? It's great to be back with you guys. It's been one of the craziest weeks. Throw these notes over here. Oh, disclaimer. There it is.
It really has been a crazy week. So this week was a very long week.
I thought for a moment that time was speeding up, which I'm sure it was. And now I feel like I'm dense as it gets. Yep.
Stuck in the mud.
Stuck in the mud. So the full moon was this week. And let me turn my chair so I could look at you. The full moon was this week. And I was saying today, or was it yesterday, I weighed myself. And I said, how is it possible that I could be over 200 pounds? Yet, and I started the gym at like 194 pounds. Yet I do look like I've lost some weight.
You
Yet
do. You
I
look
also
like you lost a lot of weight.
But I also look like a cannonball that you could just hook a chain to and throw him through a wall.
I don't know. Your mother and I haven't lost a pound, so I don't understand what's going on. We started the gym in November,
right?
or November or October 2016, and no, everyone has gone up in the scale. No one has lost any weight. I think it's because we go out for breakfast usually after the gym, or we come back here and I make breakfast.
And we've been putting in so much hard work.
It's horrible. You don't even know.
But so one of the weird things is I noticed that people have been having heavy duty health problems. A lot of people have passed away. People have been having heart attacks and everything. And I'm thinking, and I mentioned this last week, that would have been the week I would have went with everyone.
Yeah, if there was a week you were going to go, that would have been it.
Right. So the unhealthy lifestyle. But, all right, so it's come to my attention, to the training. And I'm like, yo, I get it. We're practicing and we're doing different things. But we're training. I feel like I'm training for something that I'm never really getting to.
Yeah.
But then this stuff happens. And I realized if my heart was a weaker man's heart, or my lungs were a smoking man's, like a pack a day,
Yeah, you would be in trouble.
Heavy stress, lots of burden, can't make rent, can't do this, can't do that. Oh my God, rah, 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 on and on and on. Think of all that stress added that we no longer like rock with because we pushed a lot out. It doesn't mean stress isn't there. Stress is always around doing its thing.
No, it's the way you handle it.
And not taking on other people's as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're taking on your work stress, and then you're taking on your mom's stress, and then your dad's stress, and then your brother's stress, and then your friend, it's too much. I find myself separating more and more.
It's not easy. I don't know how else to say. It's not easy.
It's just not easy.
I mean, Frank and I, we have cats. We don't really have a lot of stress, but we do.
You know what's funny? She goes, "Our kids don't talk back," and I find that funny because it's the truth. I yelled it at my mother the other day. My kids don't talk back to me, and she's like, "Well, you talk back to me," and we were just laughing about it. I'm like, "No, it's an easier thing, but not. It has its stressful moments, right? Because you're raising what you feel is your little babies, right, Paula?
They are my babies. They are. I can't even talk about it because I'm getting sensitive. It's true. They are. Your mother comes over just to play with the cats, and I think that's wonderful. And she played with our buddy for a half an hour one day. The cat slept for 2 hours.
So I watched my mother play with the cat sitting in the sun. It was a really nice sunny day the other day. And all this is relevant, by the way. I'm going to get to the point. So she's sitting there playing, and my mother does not like cats, right? Or didn't.
No, your whole family didn't like
Frankie
them.
likes cats. When did this happen? I thought you were allergic. When I was 2, I was allergic, like everyone else usually is, for a little bit, and then it kind of moves on. But we weren't cat people. Now, I watched her play, and I watched him play with her.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing about at least from my perspective, the way we're doing it, we have cats. All right. So there are little babies. And I watched this interaction, and it was one of the most beautiful things to watch a cat. She took her shoelace off her shoe and was throwing it at that cat going, come on. And he was Buddy was taking it and running and jumping on her leg, and he was like nibbling on her and then jumping all over. And I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Fully engaged it was a half hour of solid play. Then she broke to have a glass of water. No,
but what I watched
and then it just continued for a couple
of hours. Was like the loss of this stress.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Like
you're not thinking of anything else.
There was no cell phone.
It's like a meditation.
I remember when Squeak was around, I used to say, I have the option to talk to people at night, do whatever. I could play video games, do all this, and I would just sit with Squeak. As soon as he'd wake up, sometimes I would wake him up. I'd just grab his belly, right? And then he would jump up with me, and for 3 hours we would play.
Yeah.
Okay, so all that work stress and all that other stuff, that all leaves.
Just melts away, yeah.
So once again, just a little shout out to our little buddies out there for helping keep the stressful mood down. It's great to have them around. I woke up today, and Shaman was sitting right next to my face, and as soon as I opened my eyes, he was purring. And I was like, it was the first day that I didn't wake up where I wanted to just pick something up and throw it, right? Because it's been a rough week. But that was so comforting to me.
Of course it was, especially that cat is, we rescued these 2 cats. And, if you've heard the show, you know the story. But there's one cat that's having a very hard time acclimating to being inside the house. And he's scared of all of the other cats. So for him to actually sleep in the bed and, come into close contact with Frank was a very big deal, so Frank waking up and seeing this little baby look right back at him. I mean, it was the first time he slept on the bed since he's been here. Just the fear is overwhelming for him. So he's chipping through it little by little. Like you could see developmentally the cat
right
chipping away through the fear. And
now he sleeps on the bed.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing because everyone is afraid of something.
Okay, so the distractions that we use in our life in this house.
Yeah.
for the most part. We're just like everyone else, but the cats would be a distraction for us. While
Absolutely.
as the horrible things, where it used to be the crazy horrible things would always be the front on my list, but now it's flipped to this, the cat. And to me, we have our reasons, but a child would be a distraction, for me at least at this level. It would be impossible to raise a child while doing everything that we need to do.
Agreed.
So it's just another distraction. What I've noticed now that it's still rough for me to talk because this week has been really difficult. But as I'm leveling up, I'm finding it very difficult to even sit. And I've said this before, but I really mean it now. Like, I can't function in the dramatic state. I can be dramatic. I can have my own drama inside of my house where Paula lives as well. She can go through it, and she's allowed to go through whatever she wants. The cats could all not get along and then get along. My mother's allowed to come over one time, maybe throw a little stuff at us so she could blow off some steam. Anything more than that is a tipping point.
Right.
And I'm only saying this because I'm wondering who else out there
is feeling
this
way.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm immediately pulling back, even from my best friends, to not have the argument because it's there to have, just because it can happen, which makes no sense. Right now, I'm saying it out loud on the radio, right? Like, there's an argument to be had. Well, what's your problem, Frank? Well, I know it's there. What actually is the problem? So what's happening around us that's making people feel this?
There's definitely some driving force out there.
Okay, now we add this.
Strife and confusion.
Right. And then you throw distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, so with that distraction, everyone turns to it while they're feeling the way I'm feeling, perhaps. Or
you want to focus your energy on that thing.
Well, because I want to choke
thing.
something and I want to scream because there's a problem waiting to be had.
Yeah, because you want to ride that frequency.
Right. But that's
that
not
horrible frequency.
Okay,
wave.
so that is what they're tricking us with.
That's what they're trying to trick us
during
with.
the momentum of the release of the negative. Here I come. Ready?
Here you go.
During the release of the negative energy of the full moon, which is a removal, another layer, and I'm going to speak about. I had a Kali experience just sitting here the night of the full moon, and it was kind of horror show level. And people can say whatever they want, but that's what reminded me, oh, full moon. Oh, Kali's here. And the imposter stood out, and I went, oh, no, this is what's happening to us. Mm-hmm. Again, right? They never relent. They never let up. It's a constant bombardment from them, right? While you got a school shooting and then another school shooting, and then this guy's got his hand in the pocket, and don't forget Trump, right?
Yeah, NRA, Trump, NRA.
Okay, so what it's making me do, all this bombardment of distraction, is literally want nothing to do with anything but my own personal leveling up.
Right.
I want to share this with you, Fearless family, everyone listening, people on TFR, everyone. But there's no distraction now. It's my show, my run of the mill. I can say what I have to say, pass on the information, and I could crawl back in a hole if I wanted to.
Yeah, my house, my rules.
But that's okay. Mm-hmm. That sounds selfish and
it does
hubristically, whatever.
But it's true.
Listen, if I was doing this for fame and fortune, I would have made the 3 commercials Chris has been asking me for over 2 years to do. Right? Like, I'm the other guy now, and I'm like finding it difficult, but now I'm finding it very difficult. I'm on social media. I've gone from throwing likes on everything. About the only thing I do is say happy birthday to everyone, post what I want to post. Now I'm literally getting down to the grind. Only if I'm seeing something that I deem totally irresistible, which is almost nothing, but I know that everyone's on a different level, and I'm not. I almost went there. Okay, so I'm not snapping on anyone's layer or level, but I think I've reached the level where for a little while I have to go into that bubble and just kind of, I'm not hiding myself. I'm very available. I just don't want to make myself I don't want to put myself in positions where the distractions will be allowed to get in the way of the emotional energy that I'm experiencing, which will cause me to lash out or not do something else. I don't know.
Well, we talked about that the other day, even us personally, like we're trying to plan a little getaway. Just something quick. And, distractions keep coming up all over it. It's like every time we sit down and talk about it, something happens. And then we deal with whatever happens. And then we come back to it and we say, okay, it's time to talk about us. And then something happens again. And it's constantly deflecting.
Right.
You're constantly deflecting your energy. And it's like, I just want to focus on one thing. And you keep getting bombarded and, with all of this.
Yeah, like when you just want to go for a walk to the store, you're never really going for a walk to the store because every time you're seeing a sign and listening to all the radio signals and people beeping and people screaming and it being packed and crazy and noisy. And you're like, man, I just want to go to the store. I don't want to see your advertisements and I don't want to see
too much stimulation.
People just, all right, we're in New York City. We just put our heads down and just walk. All right, shout outs to LLP. LP, you guys, the heart thing that's going on, I went through this. I talked about it a week ago or so. My heart, they stopped it during one of my experiences and said, are you ready? And I said, no, what are you doing, man? I had 3 people have heart attacks in 3 days and 2 died. And I was like, what? 44 years old. That was my friend. And then everybody knows about White Crow. Then he had his experience. Everybody was asking me too, all these people dying from drugs? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no.
They want off planet. They
don't want
to be here anymore.
The toughest guy I know. Blood infection, into a heart attack, into smashing his head on the floor. We had to have a private joke on the side that, damn, it took 3 attacks to bring down the hardest human being I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, wait a second. Why is he gone? And it's like, like he would say, boss, it's a surprise. Get to beasting yourself forward before you get punched in your face. That's what he would say. But the truth of the reality is there's the surprise and it's a few feet ahead. And all right, do you want to survive? Do you want it? Like, that's why we're working out, I think. This is all relevant back to what I'm saying. The stress-free environment, while we're going through, I got to explain more. We're going through these upgrades. We're in the new energy. We're in the new age. We're in the new time space, right? So as we enter that area of the clock face of the universe or the galaxy, whatever you want to, this position we're launching into is this new energy. So can your heart handle it? Of course your heart would be palpitating and beating off. You'll find it going off. I think it's like, 60 beats it goes, right? You'll feel the half skip and you'll wonder what that is. And the full one will come like a minute and a half later. That's how I noticed it with me. I found a pattern. I was going.
Yeah. One of the chatroom folks, his heart skipped a beat recently.
Yeah. Well, the energies are hard. It's like you're walking up Mount Everest, but you don't see it.
There's so much stimulation.
So stress.
Yes.
Right? So your body's physically stressing. I'm in New York, right? It was beautiful weather. Now there's like this nor'easter thing that happened, and it's like windy and cold, and the weather has gone from 70 degrees to 30 degrees, back up to 70 degrees. Then will it hit 80? Nope, doesn't quite go there. It's only 60. Now it's going to rain for 3 days. My body is just aching.
Yeah.
All right. You could hear the stress in me, right? Okay, check it out. I don't want any of that. None of that. What I want to do is sit outside with a cup of coffee, a big fatty blunt, and the sunshine, right? I want you sitting next to me, and I want everybody else to be able to enjoy that, right? But while your body is really just craving that, every distraction is thrown at you.
Oh, yeah.
Every single thing you can imagine. Do you know, I used to just look on eBay and Amazon, find what I want, 5-star. When I got finally what I wanted, I'd have it sent to me, and I could have anything I want. I could just do what I want because I don't really look big like that. I need some headphones, or I need a new cup, or I want to wear an outfit or something. Okay, I do it now. I go through, and if I'm not buying like silver or something online, like something of value, like a more Bitcoin or something, like I'm not interested. All right, I don't care. I'm not interested. It's giving me a headache. It's more of a distraction. Now you're annoying me, Frank, with your annoying me, Frank stuff.
But you have every right to feel like that. You have every right to want to just unplug and back up and live in the moment, I mean, we share information with so many of you, and the Fearless family. I mean, the emails and the messages and
the barrages of awesome,
the
wonderfulness.
information that goes back and
I
forth.
absolutely love it.
It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy exchanges.
Okay, so if we just knew what was supposedly going on right now, like we're trying to figure out and get the information out there, we would all be relaxing and meditating at times together during the night to release this energy. Because, all right, so part of the heart palpitations and everything, the 11, what is it? What portal opened? The 222? It was 0222 218, right? 2018. Okay, that was a portal that opened. And the new energies, we're not entering the portal. The portal opens and the energies come flying out. And it's like an instant rush of like, oh, when you bite into a peppermint patty, or when you're listening to TFR, it blows my consciousness right back into my frame and then drives me into the mud for 2 weeks. All the while, I got to transmute your stuff while transmuting my stuff while trying to figure out what even's going on. Plus, I got to go to work. I got to fill up the car with gas. I got to feed the cats. I got the kids. I got to go to school. I got to do this. Blah, 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 and it goes on and on and on and on.
Doesn't end.
All right. All I can give you and offer you as a solution to this, and it's only a perspective solution. You could have a better one. All right. Is to relax for a minute, to meditate, start grounding to 5D Earth because we're there. People, I don't know how many of you are seeing the lights now. A bunch of us have been able to see the ships in the clouds now. We've been able to just point them out. Like, there's one. There's one. There's a couple of us that have been doing it. But I close my eyes and I see flashes of light.
Yep.
Like light bulbs going off. And then I open my eyes. There's your traditional. I looked into the lamp.
Yeah, but it's been happening in the apartment. We see those flashes of light.
And we'll see them. I'll call them out, or she'll say something.
The cats will see them. Definitely when we're sitting down, the cats see them.
But they're like visual.
Yeah.
Eyes open.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Bonk. And you go, okay. Oh, there was a 3-1. When I was clearing Paula recently, I push energy out of me. It always looks like a river of energy flowing out. That's what it looks like. It comes out of the eye in my hand. It's like an external port. I'm pushing it. And it looked like a bubble of air was coming out of my arm instead of like a stream of energy. Mm-hmm. It came as like a bubble, and when it exploded out here, it knocked you out. Like they kept bloop, 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 bubbles, and each bubble was filled with more energy than I've never even worked with this energy, and it was just blasting her like as if you targeted someone and you were launching like eggs at them one after another. But except when they were getting hit with it, they were absorbing it, and they were like mini explosions that added to that energy to give whatever upgrade needed to occur. Whatever new area and arena we are playing in, it is now new again. Remember that the chessboards are getting more and more intense. You're pulling in all your fractals onto the one board. Is anyone else feeling the multiple personalities returning to them? Not multiple personality syndrome. Don't get it wrong, because I don't want to be quoted as saying, well, Frank's got multiple personalities. No. Your multiple personalities from the fractals returning back to you, merging with you, yes, and bringing back to the all. Mm-hmm. Right? So you should be experiencing their memories, which is another reason why I'm like shutting down a little bit. I'm saying to myself, did I do this? I was looking at you like 2 nights ago, and it looked like I was sitting in a movie theater watching the movie, and the screen was my eyes. Like there was a weird perspective going on. It wasn't exactly like that, but it was the closest thing I could explain to you. Like, did I just expand and the screen was flat and then it came 3D, but we were already in 3D. How does that work? Well, in 5D, it looks kind of like this, more expansive. Right. So the dimension is different. So there's different layers and colors in between the two of you because there's no such thing as empty space. Mm-hmm. And you go, whoa, as Josh would say, whoa.
I slept for about 16 hours when you did that to me the other day.
I know. And what I was seeing, and I'm not impressing myself, I'm saying to myself, what's happening?
Yeah, something's changing.
Like the energy is different. Yep. It's like my higher guy, I've said this a million times, he steps over me, right? Almost like we're almost fully connected 100%, but we're not. But at that moment, we are.
Because we have to be ready to we have to be prepared to receive these downloads.
Yeah, it's like you have to upgrade a little, and then they
Yeah.
test it, and then you upgrade a little, and every shaman, every person that's listening that wants to do this, just remember, you learn anything, any little bit of information, you're probably going to be tested on it immediately, and it's probably going to be a solution to an issue you have at hand.
Yep.
I was once given a staff while I was under ayahuasca. It was gorgeous, golden staff, crystals all over it. They handed it to me and I couldn't lift it. I said, why are you giving this to me? And it was a hectic moment where I was fighting off the AI and I didn't know what to do, but I was still getting beat up at that time. And I'm like, I can't hold on to it. It's too heavy. And they ripped a layer off me and I picked it up and I said, oh, like Gandalf, except look, mine has crystals in it and it's made of gold. It's better than Gandalf, blah, blah, blah. Gina made a noise on the couch. I turned around. She's like, I'm having problems. I need help. I put the thing like in my back, like as if it was a backpack, and then tried everything I could to help this poor girl who was going through something that all I needed to do was take the staff and smack it on the floor. And it was done. No, dummy here, Frank, did everything I've ever learned. And then they were like, well, what did you not do? And I said, well,
you didn't use the tools that they gave you.
I just earned a staff that you gave me. And they're like, have you even looked at it since we gave it to you? And I said, no. And they said, all right, well, here we go again. Start from scratch. Pull out the staff. Boom. Oh, look, why is it so heavy again? It becomes like, are you worthy almost? It's like the Thor's hammer thing, but it's not a hammer. It's not comical. It's like, can you hold this? It's like, no, you have to strip down to the layer that you can actually physically grab it and hold it in its density. So you have to remove garbage layers. Okay, I want to explain something really weird. Paula and I were making coffee. Oh, here we go. When we come back from the break, I'll explain the different layers and what they look like and how you can do it at home. Okay, love you guys.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
Am I awake or is this a dream? A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
All right, Chris from the chat room just asked a question about Sky Spirit. What you're discussing is an elemental for sure. If they're there for any reason to help the environment and work with, pollution free and all that other stuff, those are mostly elementals. And I was just sitting here telling Paula, I don't know how to explain to him that you should merge with that being. And I know people are like, why would you merge? Why would you do that? All right, there's mimics of the beings, just like everything else, and you have to use discernment. But you can merge with the elementals. I've done it before. You are an elemental. You are the all. All right, when I break it down with beings, I'm like, oh, you want to do this? Is that what you want to do? I go, you do realize that I am the one that did the X, Y, and Z for you.
This is what we're talking about now, the beings. Right. This is
well. I just wanted to get to the point of the. There's so many details within.
Yeah.
And and details will get me back to the point from before the break.
Right. Okay.
So, if you use discernment, and you feel it's okay, right? The merging, it takes place in a lot of different ways. It's not like allowing them into your body. You could jump out of your body and merge with them. You can send your essence into their essence. But what happens is you get a real sense of duty for what they do. I told you I did that once in the backyard. When I first got my injury, I had the paperwork. And the wind elemental, which is exactly what you're talking about, Chris, rolled right up on me. It looked like a wisp. And it was right above my head. And I said, oh, my. And then I could see the man in it. Mm-hmm. But it was just telling me, no, I'm a consciousness. I don't really look like a man. I'm the overseer of the wind of this area. And I merged with him. And he looked at me and he was like, are you all right? And I go, I have this stuff. It's called paperwork. And then I said, I'll give you the 2-minute breakdown. And he listened to me. Well, the being listened to me and said, that sounds dreadful. I'm going to, like, I want nothing to do with this paperwork. And it kind of went on its way. So it's in the details and of of what's going on. So use your discernment. And okay, so now in the details of the layers, which is where we were right before the break.
Okay.
I was pulling out the coffee filters.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the coffee filters are all stuck together, right? The white coffee filters, they're like medium-sized, regular, whatever, coffee filters you'd get, and you buy in like the 100 to 200 pack. So we had like an old set that was a little bit bigger, and you stuffed the newer, smaller set in there. Mm-hmm. And I pulled the smaller set out because I like the way they fit better. So I was laughing like, haha, I got you. This makes a total point. I pull it out, and then I'm like, okay, all I need is one, right? They're all stuck together. And I'm like, no, I just need one. Two is, I can't use two. Yeah. So it'll back up the coffee thing or whatever. So I'm pulling, and I can't get one. Now I'm 2 minutes into it, and I start shaking. My thumbs are shaking. And I'm thinking, why can't I just get it? What is happening? Right? So I lick my fingers on the tip, and I try to edge off ones on the side, and I wind up getting a few layers in to open like a flower. And I went, oh, wait, really? Yous are all stuck together too?
Yep.
And then I'm like, no. And I pulled a chunk out by accident. I said, no, there's only two. Maybe this is one by itself. Boom, pulled out 5 of them. Okay, no, that's not what I want. I just want one. I couldn't get nothing from the 5. I put them back in and was, okay, now I'm 3.5 minutes in, and I'm looking at Paula making the joke. And I go, look, this is just like me, like the layers in me.
Yes, but that's what it's like.
I didn't even know that layer was there. All I need is the one, because the one represents what's going to help me make the coffee, not the whole bunch.
The collective consciousness, and we break away. And it's not easy. You can't just break. It's a metaphor in itself right there.
I know.
We're part of that collective consciousness, and we try to break away. But it just doesn't happen like that. There has to be trials and failures and successes, and there has to be a barrage of other things that happen. You just don't skate away like that. You just pick up the one and run.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to receive information, and you have to use discernment,
and it takes time and effort and energy to break through.
Fooled and
deceived.
Yeah,
you thought it was one, but there were 7, and then there's 8 more over here, but you can't unlock it unless you pull these out and then lick your fingers again and start poking. I was losing it. And then the one inside came free. The one in the middle that you'd want. And I took it out and I put it in, and I realized, because Paula, by the way, ethereal translation at its finest, I realized, I'm like, oh, now I can make the coffee. But sometimes it just takes a little work and a little effort, and it's not just flawless, and things don't just work that way. And it's confusing, and it seems so friggin' simple. It's so easy. But I have a degree from Harvard and Yale. But I can't pull out the friggin' coffee filter. Why? Well, you're not a dummy. No, you're not a dummy.
No, you had to see it in order to make the connection.
Thank you. You had to do it.
See it. You have to do it. Yeah, like one of the chat room folks calls it the jitters. That's exactly what it's like. It's like Frank is having a fit, like a physical breakdown.
Shout outs to Nick.
We don't need a Keurig. Thank you. Frank will learn how to use the coffee filters.
But it's the metaphor for life.
Yeah, it's never easy the first time. We have to fail. And, we have one of our FearLess family, Brian, and you know who you are. We were talking about, making small changes in our lives to make our lives better. And one of the comments, I was very honest about my situation, and I suffer from depression. I have since I was a child. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. And the comment was, well, you have Frank. And yes, I do.
I know me, and that sounds horrible.
Yes, I do. But if you're with Frank sometimes when he's having these emotional and spiritual fits, you want to
I would give
run
you
away.
Nightmares, Brian, for forever.
Yeah.
For you seeing me get tossed around the room by an entity or two. And start throwing up in a bucket. You'll be like, what the hell's going on here?
But it's how, having Frank is, yes, it's a
test in its own.
It's a bonus. It is a test in itself. I love you, but really sometimes, I don't know. But it's not, Frank and I only know each other 3 years. We don't even know each other 3 years yet. We didn't even hit our 3-year anniversary, and it feels like forever, seriously. And I'm not being funny about that, but when you need to do work on yourself, you need to do that. Like, if I didn't do all the work that I did before I met Frank, Frank never would have come into my life. There was a lot of work that I needed to do on myself before I could even receive the gift that is Frank. And seriously, like, if I didn't get through the work that I needed to do on me, he could have been standing right in front of me and I wouldn't have seen him. Because people don't come into your life to make things better. They don't come into your life to make you happier. They don't come into your life to give you what you're missing, because you're supposed to be able to do that for yourself. It's when you are on the right path and you are doing things to heal yourself and fix yourself and better yourself that you can see the gifts that come along the way. And not everything that comes around is a gift, though those are tests too. Those relationships that were like, oh my God, I did it again. That's part of life. That's grabbing, 400 coffee filters at once. It's hard to break away. It's hard to make a change from what you knew or what you thought was right or what you thought was happiness. It's really hard until you see something a different way. But until you see it a different way, you can't see anyone coming. You can't see what you're supposed to have in your life, what the beauty that's coming for you.
We barely have a clue on what's going on. I mean, we have now more than a clue, but we really are just scratching the surface. I'm starting to see it as being like everything is literally, and we say this all the time, it's like a perfectly played symphony, and nobody's there for any reason other than to be there for that moment because something, right? And you're like, well, what's that something? And it's like, all right, like in a comic book, as you're flipping the pages, if there's a character there with the other character, there's meaning to it at all time, or else they wouldn't bother putting it in there because they can't write the guy's whole life. They can only write the story, and the story's got to be done within the 36 pages of the book and continue on next week.
Right.
So if it's there, it's relevant fact of the matter. So it's a new scene, a new scenario. Oh, look, it's Commissioner Gordon. What is my interaction with you? Oh, now I have to go figure this out, and then on to what? Oh, Alfred's like, hey, man, you got to take the dog for a walk. Oh, I've got to take the dog to the back. And then the next scenario pops up while that back one that Gordon had said is in the burner. What are you learning? What's happening here? What path are you in? Do you see how the journey's playing out? You flip the next page, next scenario, mom's home, cooking dinner. Well, you weren't here on time, and then a new distraction starts and a new interaction.
But it's like the yellow brick road. You just keep following it until there's nothing left to not everything that's thrown in your path is meant to be there. You have to be able to
discern
and push those obstacles out of the way. My sister said something to me yesterday. I keep running into this brick wall. And I said, well, then stop running into it.
Stop hitting. Yeah.
Stop hitting it.
Stop your progression.
Yeah.
You do the best.
Yeah.
It's, do nothing, say nothing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. When Frank gets mad because I don't see the beings and I don't hear them and see them. And, and thank you, chat room folks, for all the kind words. I do appreciate it. Frank interacts with these beings all the time and I don't. I mean, we'll have an argument and they'll side with me and, it makes me laugh because I don't need to see them to know.
The funny thing is her higher self is doing all the interactions with me. It's just that I can see that part. So as she's like, no, I don't see them. She's like conducting a symphony in the background. Within the environment. The environment wouldn't work if your higher self actually wasn't even doing that.
Right.
Right? Like you throwing love into everything. Look at everything that was dying that you brought into this home that is fully surviving better than anyone.
Oh, I know. I'm amazed. This is our third ficus tree because I said this is number 3. And if she doesn't live, I never buy and torture another ficus tree ever again. But it's the same thing with life. I mean, it's a series of events and you choose how unfortunate they have to be. You really do, So the answer, you have Frank. That wasn't the answer to my problems. I mean, I suffer with my depression. Frank is not the reason I'm not depressed. I mean, I suffer every day, and then, I was asked, well, how do you deal with it? And I deal with it 1 hour at a time. And then after the day is over, I look back at all the hours that I got through and I know whether or not I did a good job that day. That's all we can do about anything. This raise in consciousness is really scary. This raise in consciousness, you chat from folks are funny. it's a scary thing that's happening, I mean, and now with all of these downloads everyone's receiving, it's information that you're getting bombarded with, the headaches and the
aches and pains everywhere,
and pains and needing to rest and wanting to cut yourself away from the world and go hide for a little while.
Don't feel bad because of that. Just don't interact with your scenarios at that emotional when you're at that emotional level. That's the test, right? If you interact with it, you bring the consciousness over to you, and now you're forced to interact with it. And then if you go, well, I'm just in a grumpy mood, it's like, well, why did you even say anything? Don't even call me if you're not even going to bother, right? It's like you're not even here. Well, I'm not really here. Well, what are you doing here? Right? Just stay home, meditate through it, relax, take a deep breath, plant a flower, go for a walk, do something,
or do nothing, but make a choice one way or another. Don't sit on the fence. Make a choice. If the choice is to do nothing and say nothing, then do that,
and then stand by it.
Look,
I had to rest, and that's what I did. I went home.
Or
I had some stuff to do, and you know what? I just didn't do it. I went to sleep.
I don't even sleep.
I could level up
with my phone in the bedroom anymore. If you notice, that phone, when I worked, that phone was with me all the time in case there was an emergency.
Technology seems to be taking a backseat.
It has to, because we are for.
I was going to buy a new iPad. I don't want it. I don't want anything.
Yeah, we're for. Frank was like, "You want a new computer for your birthday?" I was like, "Frank, I have a computer, and we have." The people that have been to our home, it's like set up like the Matrix. I mean, it's ridiculous. So he's like, "Do you want a computer?" I said, "I already have a computer." There were computers all around. The last thing I need is another computer.
It's almost like I don't want another signal bouncing off my head. And honestly,
exactly. We have Himalayan salt lamps around all the anything that you could plug in. There's a Himalayan salt lamp right there. Trying to diffuse that energy. It's like, look, we need the technology and we love it, but we don't have to be married to it.
Jay, one of the things I noticed, and shout outs, Paula does not do the microdosing.
No.
But she is going through, when you said, Dawn, you were like, Frank is Paul, Paula is Frank. She is, and I am. We're the other side of the same exact coin, man and woman. We fit the puzzle piece together, right? So you're essentially getting the same message. It's just the way you need to hear it, from the softness to the hardness to the direct or indirect way that it's done from either one of us, but it's coming from the same source. It's literally, it's right there. But so wait, here's my point. She, that's Jeff, by the way. She sleeps and upgrades during the sleep. Now I'll do the microdose and she'll have taken a nap. My coming out of it to tell her something, she's already there.
Yeah, I don't understand how it happened.
I go, how are you here? I would scream and kick the door because I was so excited to tell her, and then kick the door again and go, how is she even know? And she's like, bro, relax. I'm right. And I'm like, but all right. So it's all about me then. They're like, well, Frank, you're the one that's playing the catch up. Like, my household is like the deep end of the pool. It's becoming, as we grow, I see my mother as a master. I don't see she's my mother, but she's like an ascended master, like here to help specifically me stay on my grind and goal, as well as 8 other people.
Well, she's getting ready to drink. She's going to drink in a couple of weeks.
Time's up, Diane. But you as well. I see everything in you. I tell you, I see the goddess in you, right? Well, it sounds like royalty or something when you say, oh, I see the goddess in you. Oh, Frank's so sexually into Paul. No, the mother goddess, as well as the beautiful goddess, as well as the ultimate, the sacred feminine, right? And I've seen, and don't take this the wrong way, but I've seen you take charge as the masculine.
Oh, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
You can't do anything to the cats. Don't even try. Don't even try. You're better off just stabbing yourself in your head than thinking you're going to get away with anything stupid, right? So when that character, so I've seen it all. So we all have this in us, building and thriving and wanting to come out. I want to talk about the microdosing and everything, and there's 9 minutes left, so I just kind of want to ride the wave that we have.
We didn't think it was going to go in this direction.
No, I had no idea.
We're going to get right back to it,
I have notes on a piece of paper, and they're more important than me telling you about my microdose stories, because my stories are my stories, but this information is what we're going through. I'll tell my stories maybe on the podcast. I'll bring someone on. I'll bring Jeff on, and he could go, well, what happened, bro? And
so
then,
to Jeff's question, I do think about it, but every time I go to act on it, I hear it's not necessary. And, maybe someone in the Fearless family can even help me with this. I mean, I am sleeping a lot of hours, but when I'm sleeping, I totally think I'm doing some kind of energy work because I don't think the entire time I'm sleeping. And, because there are times when I can go down for hours and wake up and not feel rested at all. So something is definitely happening. And
those who have been
have
seen the energy.
I'm not sure
that's
exactly
incoming.
what it is.
When I close my eyes, it looks like, I don't know, man, like energy bubbles flying around, like almost like a snowstorm
but the answer
of energy.
Yes, it's weird.
It was never like that before.
But
I would see streaks or something, but
Yes.
now it's just bombard you.
Well, even on the security camera, we had to stop watching it all the time because of all the orbs going back and forth.
I'm like, oh, look at all the dust in the house. Well, dust don't make right angle turns right up into your face and
right
sit
up into
there
your
and look
face,
right at you and then go, look over here. Nope, now I'm going to go over there. And I'm like, I was right next to my face. That was right on the couch right there. It just moved right up to the camera and like, look at me.
Yeah, we recorded all of that, if you remember. It was too much to keep up with. Like, well, what's that joke? I wish they would pay rent.
Yeah, there's so many here.
There are so many entities in this house at any given time. The cats notice it. I mean, really, if they could pay rent, that would be wonderful.
That's so funny, and they laugh too. One of my experiences for the full moon this week, and all right, I know there's different things out there that people find scary and frightening, right? During the full moon, especially during the rough ones, right? It's like the release of the negative that's in your life, like your burdens, your layers, and all that.
Look, it's definitely a release. My one of my best friends said she's been married for, I think it's 18 or 19 years, and she says every time there's a full moon, she fights with her husband. And so she's aware something's going on, and she knows it's going to happen, and they accept it. And I think that in itself is a beautiful thing. But, when the full moons roll around, really crazy stuff happens here.
But that's the point, right? So the energy is a weird, let's just pretend the portal opens and you're just releasing everything. Well, there's energy and beings that arrive when this occurs. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting there and I thought to myself, and I was sitting right where you are. I had my feet up on the chair and I leaned back and I saw my one of my guides, mm-hmm. Feor, was standing right next to me. And I go, I don't say his name right. He was looking at me going, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, it's the full moon. You know what that means, right? I go, Kali is around, and everyone gets scared when I say this.
That's right.
And I'm going to prove to you through my experience, and only through my experience, and I'm not telling you to call these entities and do anything, that there's multiple entities pretending to be other entities, and that you need to be aware of fakery and tomfoolery, and you need to use your discernment. I was sitting there, and he started immediately going, do not do this. Do not do. Now look what you did. I didn't even realize what I was doing, but I did know what I was doing because I do this every month when the full moon is difficult.
Right.
Okay. And I did this by accident once. I wasn't finishing my statement when I said, Kali it was in the background during one of my experiences. And I said, oh, look, it's mother. And I went to say of destruction. And she rolled up on me and grabbed my throat and said, how dare you? I'm not your mother. Right. And I said, I wasn't finished. And she was like, then finish. And I said, of destruction. She hugged me because I said, you grabbed me too quick. And then she was like, oh, look, you're unlocking, blah, blah, blah. I had a conversation with her. Then we skipped to just the other day, full moon, laying back. I go, oh, Kali, mother of destruction. You know what time it is. And I look over and I see this giant black mist, purplish mist with insect eyes in it, like bigger, smaller, staring at me. And it was like, oh, okay, I'm welcome in now. And he moved in and I've never seen one of the beings with me jump. This dude jumped back. Like, what did you do? And I said, wait, stop. And everything just stopped. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, you're doing it. And I go, okay, check it out. Look in the background. Relax yourself. And he goes, oh. So I said, all right, put everything back in motion. This thing's floating over my face, ready to touch me. It actually cannot because nothing can hurt you.
Imposter.
Right? I go, this is the being that's the imposter being to Kali that feeds on you. Why? Because I want to introduce you to my mother of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like a small wind-up toy of Kali, but she was my color. And it looked like a little boy almost with braids. It looked like a little wind-up toy, and it was going bzzz. It was coming in, and it had 6 arms, and there were knives in each hand, and they looked like teeth, and they were but she was so tiny, and I'm like, oh, she's really making the grand entrance this time, sarcastically speaking. And the being looked over and said, oh, no, like it said the other word, but was very distraught by seeing her. And I said, have a nice day. And she took this being apart piece by piece by riding over him and destroying him and taking him with. So anything looming over my head was now gone.
Right.
Making me feel fresh, creative, new, full of my own energy, no energy being sucked from me. Very big thankful to Kali. I got the high five, the hug, everything, and you're on your way. Because that's what's really going on. But there's fakery. Remember, you're in an illusion, and so you have demonic beings, you have AI and all that. They're all doing mimicry. They're all pretending to be the real. And then you have to discern through that, how are we going to work through this with the things that work directly with us, like our allies. Are you afraid? No, I'm not afraid.
Just like everyday life.
Right. You got to take it from a new perspective. I'm in love. She's not going to hurt me. She tears the negativity out of me with those knives, rips it out of me. It doesn't hurt. You can't kill me. Guess what? We created all these beings to help us. So they appear to us like this, but we can actually take the gnosis back, right? Through love and respect and understanding, and we upgrade and become bigger than them. They look at us in the eyes with respect, and then we move on. And we all work symbiotically together. There are those that wish us to fall and those that wish us to rise. And right now, it's time for us to rise. It's time for us to start meditating 15 minutes a day, guaranteed. Guaranteed. You can't do it? Do it for an hour. Do something a little out of yourself if you want. You know, I feel weird today. I don't know what I should do. Go for the walk.
Different than the day before.
Listen to different music. Put something else on.
Do one thing different than the day before.
You know, put something else first and then do you. And then don't let anything interfere with that moment with you, just like you let nothing interfere the moment where you help someone else.
Right.
Take for you what you need without hurting the individual or feeling selfish. Take back what's yours. Level up time. Take a nap, rest, and just think about that thought, and it will occur. That's the work. Taking the thoughts and pushing them forward. Take them and expand. Spiral upwards and outwards. Up, up, and away. Shazam. Go, spider web. Everything. Now's the time. React. Right? Observe, react. Problem, reaction, solution. Take it, make it work for you. Judo, flip. Right? It's not an obstacle any longer. And now it's an advantage point. It's a lookout tower where I could place myself into a position of being the programmer to the next step in my journey.
Right.
Program your way through this mess. You're going to do it together.
Yeah. Our reality. Everything in it.
And now we're about to recreate it the way it's supposed to be. Why? Because we're awesome. Why? Because we're awesomer. Why? Because we're your protection from deception. Stay tuned. Beyond the Veil's up next. Love Chris and Cherie. They're awesome.